What's up, everybody? Thanks as always for supporting the show. It would mean a lot to me if you would take a second to scroll down and hit that subscribe button to the Hoops Tonight YouTube channel, and then follow me on social media on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter so you guys don't miss any of our content over the course of this season. All right, let's talk some basketball. So Jayson Tatum gets a DNP, coach's decision. And this was a big surprise to me. Now, before I get into my kind of rationale on it, I, just kind of tried to dig around and see what people were saying in terms of what the rationale behind what Steve Kerr's decision was. And the main case that I saw floating around was like KD wasn't ready to start. So KD would typically start, but he wasn't. So KD was kind of in that bench forward role that Tatum would typically be in. And then Devin Booker, they considered to be like a better ball mover, a guy who's like a really quick decision maker and 5 out. And again, that's really what I think drives most of this for Steve Kerr. There's a lot of like Celtics fans that are making it like, oh, the Warriors are just mad because the Celtics are kicked their butt last year. This is a jealousy thing. It's I don't think that's the case, guys. Like the Warriors beat the Celtics in the finals 2 years ago. There's no reason for them to be insecure about this matchup. They beat the Celtics on the biggest possible stage to win the title. They're just old now. That's why they're bad. That's not an issue. So I don't think it has anything to do with that. I don't think Kerr has some sort of personal vendetta against Jayson Tatum. I think this is about basketball worldview. This is something I talk about all the time. Like, I have a basketball worldview. I have a specific way that I like to play, that I think teams should play. But like, that's not the only way that teams think and that teams strategize and that teams want to play, that coaches strategize and that coaches want to play. Everyone's got different strategies here. And I think in retrospect, we can look at the way that that the Golden State Warriors have played and look at it and go like, wow, like often Steve Kerr would leave 2 of his forwards on the bench. He'd go with he'd have, Moody and Kuminga on the bench, and then he would have Brandon Podziemski, Steph Curry, and Klay Thompson all out there at the same time. And you're like, wow, they're way too small and not athletic enough. But what Steve Kerr is thinking there is Steph, lightning quick decision maker, lightning quick read and react guy in 5 out. Same for Klay, same for Podziemski. That's what he's thinking. I think that Jayson Tatum, as a guy that has a little bit of a tendency to catch and hold, I think that Steve Kerr just kind of doesn't like his play style as a fit within Team USA. I don't buy that, though. I don't think that's nearly enough of an excuse to leave a guy who is here's the thing. Do I think Tatum's a top 5 player in the world? No. He got first team All-NBA because his team has 5 $30 million players and they won 64 games. I do not think Jayson Tatum is one of the 5 best basketball players in the world. But in this setting, he's still a guy that absolutely has to be in this rotation. He's at least a top 10 player. He's in that 6, 7, 8, 9 range. He belongs in this rotation. He specifically plays a need. You can't justify starting 3 guards on a team that has Tatum, LeBron, KD, Anthony Davis, and Bam, all guys that can play Bam and AD can play the 4. LeBron can play the 4. There are lots of minutes at the 3 available. That is a misallocation of resources to have a top 10 player that plays a specific position of need. You're starting 3 guards, Steve Kerr. You're starting 3 guards. And yeah, Tatum is a bit of a slower decision maker than most, but I still think he's above average at reading the floor. I know he hasn't played as well with Team USA as he's capable of. He's still in this nightmarish shooting slump. His form is all jacked up. He's got a hitch in there. He's got multiple hitches in there. His form looks crazy. He's got bad misses, jumpers off the reservation, but he still brings so much to the table. We're going to talk about Embiid in a minute. The Embiid thing is so much more complicated because he's struggling on both ends of the floor. He's janking things up for them on offense, and he's not doing enough on the defensive end of the floor. Tatum is an elite defensive rebounder and an elite front court defender. So there's literally no excuse. That lack of quick decision making is not nearly enough of an excuse, in my opinion, to leave a player of this caliber on the bench. You can't DNP Tatum and start 3 guards. That is a decision that I can't get behind. And so again, what I would do, I think you start Kevin Durant in Devin Booker's spot. I think that's a very simple shoe-in fit there. Now you don't have 3-guard lineup. KD makes sense with the starters. Then you put Tatum in KD's slot with the bench guys. And again, this is not about the Celtics. Like, I saw Bill Simmons saying that like Jayson Tatum should be in LeBron's spot running the show because Tatum won a lot more games. That's stupid. Like, you swap LeBron and Tatum this year, the Celtics still win the title. They have 5 $30 million players. We don't need to overthink this. It's not about what Tatum deserves in terms of what he accomplished in the NBA. It's about the fact that Tatum is too fucking good to leave him sitting when you're starting a 3-guard lineup that is getting rolled at the start of every single game. Slide KD into the starting lineup, put Tatum in with that bench group, make sure he gets his opportunities. He's too good of a player to not take advantage of what he brings to the table. But I think this is all about Steve Kerr's offensive philosophy. He's obsessed with lightning quick decision-making in his blender of an offense, and Tatum is a little too deliberate. And I think as a result of that, Kerr has favored his guards. That's why he's playing Devin Booker. That's why he's playing Derek White. That's why he's playing Drew Holiday. Guards from birth are trained to be lightning quick decision makers. That's what guards do at every level. And so I think that's why Steve Kerr just kind of gravitates to those sorts of guys. I actually think, like I said, I think it's hilarious in retrospect watching the way that he was coaching that Golden State Warriors rotation. And again, this is the thing. There are different basketball philosophies, guys, like I talked about earlier. Like, there's a trade-off. Steve Kerr knows the trade-off. Steve Kerr knows that when he decides to play 3 guards, whether it be with the Warriors or with Team USA, he knows he's making gains in offensive decision-making and quickness. He's making gains in ball handling, and he's losing ground in physicality, defensive rebounding, transition athleticism. Like, he's making a trade-off, right? And we, by the way, we've seen the opposite version of that. The 2020 Lakers were the exact opposite version of that. They sacrificed ball handling and quick decision-making and had some moments where they struggled in half-court offense, but they had Alex Caruso and KCP and Danny Green, LeBron and Anthony Davis out there. They were so damn big and so damn athletic. They were a monster defensive rebounding team. They were a monster defensive team. They were a monster transition team. That was a trade-off that Frank Vogel took. Frank Vogel said, I want to lean into my team's strength, which is size and mobility on the perimeter, size and mobility underneath the basket. We're just going to be a wrecking ball physical team, right? And that's the thing. Like, Steve Kerr has looked at a very similar roster. Steve Kerr could do that with this group. Steve Kerr could look at this group and he could go, I'm going to go Steph, Tatum, KD, LeBron, AD. We're just going to be huge. We're going to switch everything. We're going to lean into that. He could go super athletic. He could bench KD and he could go, we're going to go AD, Bam, LeBron, Tatum, and Anthony Edwards at the point and be like, offense is going to be a little janky, but we're going to beat the shit out of people because we're bigger and stronger and faster at every single position. Like, he has different angles he can go. And it's very clear to me, again, I don't think this has anything to do with Kerr having hang-ups about the Celtics or about Tatum. I don't think this has anything to do with what Tatum accomplished with the Celtics. I think this is strictly just a basketball philosophy that Steve Kerr has. He prioritizes quick decision-making on the perimeter. Therefore, he has gone with more of his guards instead of his forwards. But there's no justification. Look at the cores. Look at the cores. The guard core on this team is Steph, Ant, Derek White, Drew Holiday, Devin Booker. The forward core on this team is LeBron James, Kevin Durant, Jayson Tatum, Anthony Davis, Bam Adebayo. I would argue that's the strength of the roster. Lean into size, lean into your forwards. So there's no excuse for having Tatum outside of the 10-man rotation. Has nothing to do with him winning the title, has nothing to do with winning 64 games, has nothing to do with making first-team All-NBA. It has everything to do with the fact that he's too good at basketball to leave what he brings to the table on the bench.